years ago, Mark Zuckerberg was adamant that Facebook could regulate itself and we should let tech companies find solutions to their problems. But times have changed. It's been almost a year since he testified in Capitol Hill. And it's clear that even if Facebook does make its own rules, those rules are not going to be satisfactory to all these different factions and are only going to draw more criticism to Facebook. So now Zuckerberg knows that regulation is inevitable, and he would rather help form that regulation so he can play by the rules and not draw as much criticism as he's been facing.
And Jimmy, what he says in the piece is that we need new regulation in 4 areas: harmful content, election integrity, privacy, and data portability. Again, what do you make of this? Why those areas in particular? Not so much, I mean, it's obvious why they're problems, but why do you think he wants to see active regulation in each of those 4 buckets?
Well, listen, those are certainly areas that have sort of encompassed the various controversies surrounding Facebook, whether it's Russia meddling, whether it's content or live streams, or whether it's these various data protection breaches. So obviously those are the key areas that certainly legislators and Congress have been looking at. And I think, I mean, and to me, the one that really pops out is the embrace of Europe's, data protection rules, something that a lot of companies, have not wanted to do. And I think the way you can look at this is, one, as Julia said, you prevent even stronger regulation down the line from happening. A lot of companies are worried about being held more liable for content. And also, big companies should be able to handle these regulations. They would prefer not to have them. But as we've seen already in Europe, that these regulations have sort of hurt investment in smaller companies. They've allowed the ad market share for Google and Facebook and Amazon to expand. So listen, if there's going to be regulations, Facebook referred that they can somehow mold them, and in the end, they'll probably benefit from them more than smaller companies.
And Julia, that's what so people are saying. If you go through this on the issues that Jimmy mentions, more regulation of the business model in general probably is better for Facebook. They have the resources smaller competitors don't. Election protection and harmful content, they want to be able to point to the law and say, we followed the law. You guys figure out what that is. We don't want to be held accountable for this. And even on data portability, that it might help them integrate WhatsApp, Instagram, and Facebook as opposed to undermining their model.
Well, I think data portability is kind of the most interesting one here, because this is really the first time Zuckerberg has come out and said, hey, we really want to make it easy for people to take their data, take their friend lists, all their content off of Facebook and switch it somewhere else. Now, I do not think that this is a coincidence with timing here, because we also have a couple things going on. On one hand, you have Zuckerberg integrating all of Facebook's platforms, WhatsApp, Messenger, Instagram, trying to bring the back end of all these messaging platforms together, which would mean that breaking up Facebook would be not only an impossibility, but ultimately damaging to its business model. And you also have the likes of Senator Elizabeth Warren calling to break up Facebook. Data portability will be Mark Zuckerberg's defense. He'll say, hey, we're not a monopoly if we actually let people take their data off of Facebook. And I think that's where this is going to play in here.
That's a great point. And Jimmy, finally, where does this leave Google, for example, who also has the YouTube criticisms about a lot of their business model practices, their ability to police their content, privacy issues, and so much more? They have not been nearly as vocal as Zuckerberg and Sheryl Sandberg. Why do you think that is?
Well, they really have not been at the center of these controversies. Listen, it wasn't long ago when people had very little bad to say about these companies. They were sort of our national champions. And then really since the election, there's been a lot more focus on them, particularly on Facebook. Facebook's really been in the vanguard of the criticism. It shouldn't be surprising. Then they should be in the vanguard of trying to figure out a way to get Congress sort of off its back and to begin to address these issues, which they have done. I think it's easy to be skeptical, but between the supposed shift in the business model, which they announced a month ago, and this, I think that really sets the path forward for where these companies are going. And there's going to be a lot more pressure now, I think, on Congress to sort of mimic what Europe's been doing.